गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन। गुड मॉर्निंग, जय हिंद, नमस्कार। कैसे हैं आप सभी लोग? आई होप कि ऑल ऑफ यू आर डूइंग वेल। आई होप दैट ऑल ऑफ यू आर डूइंग वेल। Good morning. Okay, so good morning everyone, and I welcome you all to this session of editorial analysis. So I hope you have written some answers of the previous class. I am also quite good. So I hope you all have written answers in the previous classes of the previous class. I hope all of you have written the answers of the previous class. Okay, so that's very good. So let's start our discussion. Okay, today we are going to discuss three basic topics. We are going to discuss three articles. The first one is with respect to the RTE Act, Right to Education Act. Okay, the first editorial which we are going to analyze is with respect to this RTE. The second part which we are going to discuss, the second article which we are going to discuss is going to be with respect to this part called as the cervical cancer. The second part is going to be with respect to the cervical cancer. And the third part is with respect to AI in diplomacy. AI in diplomacy. This is something which is very important topic. Very important topic, especially for 2026 also and 27 also. This article is very important, very crucial. This article is very much important and crucial for 2026-27. So these are the articles which we are going to discuss about. Now before we start this one thing, like there is this one concept called as RTE, right to education. There is this one part called as RT, right to education. And this right to education, it is something which is also applicable, in case of, like the private schools. There is an obligation on the private schools also. There is an obligation on the private schools also. Can you tell me what is that obligation? There is an obligation, there is a mandate on the private school also. So can you tell me, like what is this obligation on private school? The UPSC guided program कौन सी है? I think there is UPSC mentorship program, that is Parivartan batch, which I am aware about. But it is related to UPSC 2026. For 2027, if some new program has come up, then I am not aware about it right now. There is a mentorship program for 2026 aspirants. Okay. If anything is announced for 27 aspirants, I will let you know. Okay. Now, coming to this one part, right to education. So we are having this private school. The private schools are having an obligation. They are having an obligation. So can you tell me what is their obligation? What is the mandate on them? What they have to do? कोई आइडिया आपको इसके बारे में? What is that mandate on the private schools? Private schools के लिए क्या mandatory है under this part of right to education? साइंस, मैथ्स, सोशल साइंस, आई एम नॉट अवेयर अबाउट इट राइट नाउ. अगर मुझे मालूम चलता है तो मैं आपको बता दूंगा. So those who are attending the session, please tell me, what do you know about this RTE? What is the obligation on the private schools? If we look at it, there is this one obligation, that is that they have to reserve they have to reserve certain seats for people belonging to economically weaker section. Economically weaker section. So in schools, there is a concept that if a person is belonging to a economically weaker section, then in very much advanced private schools also, they have to reserve certain seats for the students belonging to economically weaker section. There is a very famous movie also around this. You may have seen Hindi medium, English medium, a type of movie was there. A legendary actor Irfan Khan was there. Okay. So Hindi medium, English medium type of Hindi medium, I think that was one of the title of the movie. So it was concentrated around this part. Okay, they were trying to get the admission of their child in a private school, and when they cannot do it through the normal quota, then they have taken the part of economically weaker section. Through the economically weaker section, they can also get the admission in the schools. Okay. So this is one of the part which we see here. Ki under the RT and the private schools, they are having an obligation. They are having an obligation to reserve certain seats for people belonging to economically weaker section. Now the thing is, now recently what we have seen that this is as per section 12(1)(c) of the Right to Education Act. So there is a 25% reservation in private school for children from economically weaker and disadvantaged group. Okay. So there was a contest to this. People were contesting this. People were saying that this is not fair. This is not fair. But Supreme Court has again reaffirmed the provision that it is a constitutional strategy for equality and social integration. Okay. So Supreme Court has said that, especially they have mentioned a comment that this RT Act can ensure that the child of a Supreme Court judge can also be sitting with a child of an auto rickshaw driver or a street vendor, and they can be studying together. So this one part says that in the private schools which are very much advanced, they are having then generally people from the elite classes, from highly powerful, highly rich families. So this one Article 12(1)(c) ensures that a Supreme Court judge, if he is having a kid, then that child can also be sitting with another child who is simply a child of an auto rickshaw driver or a street vendor. So this was especially a comment which was made by the judge during this part of this hearing on Article 12(1)(c) of the Right to Education Act. Okay. Now there is a criticism of this. There is a criticism, and what is that? It is like shifting the responsibility. It is like shifting the responsibility of education from government to private institutes. Government to private institutes. So it is being said that many people say that it is your responsibility. The government is responsible for teaching those people. So why are you sending them to private schools? Don't you have the confidence in your own schools? Why are you not teaching them in your own government schools? Why are you sending them to private schools? That is a criticism of this Article 12(1)(c). So it is said that it's not that there is a shifting of the blame or shifting of the responsibility. It is simply that in case of India, we have seen that there has been a significant rise of private schools, and private schools cannot be simply in a business of education. Education cannot be simply a business. When you are in education industry, you have a social responsibility also. When you are in education field, you have the social responsibility also. So what is being said here, okay, that what is the purpose? It is not just access to education, but creation of a shared learning space. That we have to ensure that there is a shared learning space. There is no such gap in the society. There is no such enormous gap in the society. So that is one of the part. Aims to ensure equality of status and of opportunity. You can connect it with what? You can connect it with the preamble. You can connect it with the preamble. That the preamble talks about creation of equality of status and of opportunity. You can connect it with this preamble part, that it is also about this creation of a status of equality of status and equality of opportunity. And it is also about social integration within classrooms, reducing segregation. You can connect it with DPSP. You can connect it with the fundamental duties. Okay. So this is very much reflecting the constitutional provisions of India. It is very much reflecting the constitutional provisions of India. I have seen many private schools, sir, there is no relaxation on admission fee. They still ask for expensive admission fee. Yes, they have given it a new name, development fee or some other different name. So they are taking the admission of the same child again and again. Those who are reading in a school, they are paying the admission fee again and again every time. And it has been given new names. Because you cannot charge the admission fee every time, so it has been given new names and they're collecting the same amount of money. Okay, so this is one of the part. Now what we see, like, what is the evidence of this? Over 5 million children have benefited from this. Over 5 million children so far have benefited from this Right to Education Act, where they are provided education, where they have been provided education in some of the very esteemed private institutions. What we see that the retention rate is greater than 90%. Okay. In case of this retention rates in the private schools, it is more than 90%. And a mixed classroom is becoming very much common in cities like Delhi and Ahmedabad. In Delhi especially you will find this. That this culture is very much prevalent. There are many such private schools. There are many such private schools who are taking students from disadvantaged section, from economically weaker section. So they are having this provision of admission of students from economically weaker section. Now what we see, there is also reduced discrimination, improved pro-social behavior, and there is no such negative academic impact. Many of the schools are saying that we are having students who are very proficient in English, who are very much good in academics. So we are taking only their admission. If we are giving admission to people from economically weaker section, then it is going to hurt our academic records. But what has been seen, that there has been no such visible negative impact on the outcomes. Okay. So what we see, that all these situations are there with respect to the education. There is a challenge in implementation. The private schools are having resistance. They are having resistance to inclusion. Of course, many of them have opened up their private schools or institutions just with a business motive. Okay. Then we see that there is a hidden cost for families in form of uniform, books, materials. Recently, you may have seen that there is a scuffle which has came to limelight, that a principal of one school, a principal who is also a woman of one school, she was scolding another woman. Why? Because they might have purchased some books or some materials from other store. They have not purchased books or materials from the schools or the agents of the schools. They have purchased it from somewhere else. So for that matter, they have become so much angry. In fact, in India, you will find that the private schools are no more just like a business of education. They are providing an entire business. They are having fancy dress competition. But for that fancy dress, you have to purchase that fancy dress only from some designated shops. You are having their uniforms. The uniforms will not be a simple uniform. It will be having some different look. and it is going to be available only in a certain, like only in a certain store. Then at the same time, they are going to have their own books, their own materials, and that is also something which is available only in their store. So they are not taking NCERT as a reference. They are having their own books, they are having their own notebook, they are having their own pencil, pen, bag, they are having their own different types of uniforms, and they, all these things are at a quite expensive rate. It is all at a very expensive rate, and it is found only in their stores. So this is one of the part which we see here. So there is uneven implementation across the state. That is also one of the part. So what we see that overall there is an issue in transparency, grievance redressal, and last mile delivery. So while RT is existing, the aim is quite noble, but its implementation is quite challenging. Its implementation has become quite much challenging. So what is the solution? What is the solution which we can see? Solution is quite simple. We have to get enforceable rules. It cannot be simply that it will be a moral appeal. It will not be simply a moral appeal. It has to be enforced. What we see that there have to be a timely reimbursement to schools. Suppose that if a private school is taking a student under the economically weaker section, it's not that they are not getting the compensation. The government is bearing the fee of those children. The government is bearing the fees of those children. So private schools are getting the fees. It's not that they are not getting the fees. There is a challenge. In many of the governments, there has been a delay in the reimbursement process. And you know that government processes are often delayed. Sometimes 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years. So government reimbursement, they have to be timely. There is a removal of hidden cost which should be there. At the same time, strong grievance system should also be there. Okay. Now, is it true that private schools are tax free? See, many of the private schools are established like a trust. जो प्राइवेट स्कूल है वो एक ट्रस्ट के रूप में एस्टैब्लिश करते हैं खुद को. तो वंस दे एस्टैब्लिश देमसेल्फ लाइक अ ट्रस्ट, दे गेट मल्टीपल सच बेनिफिट. तब उन्हें बहुत सारा बेनिफिट मिलता है. So this is the first part. ये हमारा पहला पार्ट था which was related to the Right to Education Act, how it provides access to education in private schools. Second, what is the challenge with this? Okay. So many of you have attended private schools. So what was your experience in the private schools? What was the best part of your school? Tell me about this. What was the best part of your school? Any such a special thing which you have seen? Friends, see, in my school, like the initial school, which I think up to class 1 or 2, I was in a school. And in that school, what I have seen, there was a culture. Like I have got my initial schooling from my village. So in the initial schooling period from a village, what was our experience? That in the morning when we used to go to school, so we have to clean the entire school. We used to clean the entire school. If there is any such garbage, if there is any such thing which is around the school, so all the students used to do this one part. They used to clean the school. So we have got that experience in our school in the early times. There was also a culture like we used to have plantation of different types. We used to have plantation of different types. So we were planting trees. Some of the students were like planting the trees throughout the year. So it was one of the very important part. Okay. Cleaning the classroom, West Bengal board school. So yes, in many part of the country, there was this one culture that the students were first cleaning the classroom. Private school में आप ये बोल कर देखो. If a student is going to a private school, tell them this part that you have to clean your classroom. You have to clean your bench or desk. Tell them this part that you have to clean your bench and desk before sitting on this. Then you will find the difference. And we used to clean the entire school. Pick garbage from everywhere. Like even it was surrounded by, like, it was having many such trees. It was having a very elaborate gardens and everything. Different type of flowers, different type of plants were there. So those leaf of the plants were falling down on the ground. So we used to collect that part. Okay. So that was, and in our case, it was not that we were like even buying any dustpan or anything. In village, what used to happen that people can make the brooms by themselves. People can make brooms by themselves. So it was like handmade brooms. It was handmade brooms which students used to make by themselves. They used to carry them to the school, and it was their responsibility to clean the school. It was their responsibility to clean the school. So it was like that. Okay. Now, coming to this part, the cervical cancer. The cervical cancer. If we talk about this, the cervical cancer. Okay. This is something which is the second most common cause of cancer among women in India. Second most common cause of cancer among women in India. What we see that around, like, we see that there is 1 lakh cases annually. There is around 1 lakh cases annually for this cervical cancer. We see that there is 1 lakh new cases annually. There is a high mortality rate also. There is a high mortality rate also. What we see that, what is the main cause behind it? What is the main cause? The main cause is a virus called as human papilloma virus. Human papilloma virus. So there is a virus called as human papilloma virus. Human papilloma virus, which used to be a main cause of cervical cancer. It is the second most common cause of cancer in India among women. Around 1 lakh cases are there annually, and this has a very high mortality rate also. So mortality rate is also quite higher. Now in this situation, what we see that, what is the solution? What is the solution? The solution simply lies in vaccination. The solution simply lies in vaccination. Now the question is the vaccine available? Is it available? So can you tell me, do we have a vaccine for cervical cancer, or do we have a vaccine for this human papilloma virus? Are we having a vaccine for human papilloma virus? Retired officer of military. Then yes. So we are having multiple such vaccines. We are having multiple vaccines which are available. We are having multiple vaccines which are available. Like we are having Gardasil. We are having Cervavac. We are having Cervarix. So this is one of the part, that vaccine is available. So now the question is, if the vaccine is available, then even despite having a vaccine, despite having a vaccine, why we are still having a very high number of cases of cervical cancer? Why we are having very higher number of cases of cervical cancer? What is the reason behind it? Okay. First of all, you have to understand this one part, that if we talk about the regions, so this is something, the cervical cancer develops over 15 to 18 years of time. So this is something which is not happening in just 1 year, 2 years. Okay. What we see that the cervical cancer is something which is being like developing. The cancer is getting developed in around 15 to 18 years. So most of the cases which we are getting now belong to the time when vaccines were rare. Okay. Most of the cases we are having right now belongs to the time when the vaccines were rare. Vaccine is available in present times. Vaccine, it is available now. But earlier its availability was quite low. पहले इसकी अवेलेबिलिटी जो है वो काफी कम थी. ऐसा नहीं कि वैक्सीन अभी ही बना है. दिस वैक्सीन हैज बीन देयर फॉर क्वाइट सम टाइम, बट अगेन द अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ वैक्सीन was limited. That is one of the reason. Second part is awareness. The lack of awareness among women about this. Lack of awareness among women about HPV and cervical cancer. So women are hardly aware about this one thing, about the HPV and cervical cancer. So this is the second part. Then we see that limited screening. We see that a limited screening of cervical cancer. So we are not finding it. It is like less than 5%. It is like less than 5%. It is like less than 5%. And of course, the cost of vaccination. The cost of vaccination is also there. The cost of vaccination is also one of the factors which is responsible behind this prevalence of cervical cancer in India. It is the second most common cause of cancer among women in India. So this lack of awareness, the cost of vaccine, lack of screening, and also this time period which is taken by the cervical cancer to develop, these have remained some of the factors why it has remained ignored for a long period of time, why it is still dominant in India at the present time. Now the thing is, if we talk about World Health Organization, okay, what we see that World Health Organization, they have got a goal. They have got a goal, 2030 goals, that 90% girls should be vaccinated before age of 15. 70% of women should be screened in the age of 35 to 45, and 90% treatment coverage for detected cases. Okay. So it has a target incidence that it should be less than 4 cases per 1 lakh women. So it has aimed to do this thing. And recently what we have seen that Government of India has come with the National HPV Vaccination Campaign. Okay. So this is providing a free voluntary vaccination. A free voluntary vaccination for girls of 14 years of age. So this has come up that we have got a nationwide HPV vaccination and we have chosen Gardasil. We have chosen Gardasil for this very purpose. हमने इसके लिए Gardasil का यूज करने को लेकर डिसाइड किया है कि we are going to use the Gardasil for this purpose. So we have got this one issue of cervical cancer. We have seen what exactly it is, how this is caused. Then we have seen that is there a vaccine which is available for it or not. Then we have seen this part that despite being having a vaccine, why this has got delayed. And then after we have seen this part that what has been done in the recent times. So I hope ये part आपको clear रहेगा. Any doubt in this section? Quite much expensive है, बिल्कुल correct है ये बात. Sir, why don't we have such a scheme for cervical cancer for vaccination? Like we have Ayushman card for health. Good question. We should have a scheme. We should have a scheme, but unfortunately we are not having. Okay. This is something which is free. This is free and voluntary. We should have a scheme, Shri official, for this. We should have a scheme for this, but right now we are not having. That is one of the drawback. So in the suggestion, when you have to write answer on this, you can give a suggestion that we need to have a dedicated scheme for this. We need to have a dedicated program for this. The insurance for cancer is quite a challenging part. Many companies are not ready to give insurances for cancer. But yes, government can start. Government has huge assets, so government can start it. Now we are coming to the third part. AI is bringing the battle to the door of national security bureaucracy. Now, what is the context here? What is the context here? In the recent times, what we have seen, there has been use of, a chat assist, or sorry, a AI assistant. There has been use of a AI assistant, and this has been used by foreign minister of Singapore. So there has been a use of there has been a use of a foreign, sorry, there has been a use of AI assistant by the foreign minister of Singapore. And this has taken place recently, a few days back, on April 26th. On April 26th, the Singapore foreign minister, he was using AI. Okay. So he declared that he is using this AI agent. He's using this AI agent, and using that he's negotiating, using that he's getting all his facts in case of international diplomacy. So this is what about vaccination camp? It will be school based. ये school आधारित होगा. It will be school based. Okay. So what we see, like this is again related to your GS paper 2. Now here you can see this one part. There is this nano claw. Okay. So what it does, if we talk about this, this is connecting to the ministry communication channels. It processes voice notes, image, schedules. It retains structured memory. Okay. It is like synthesizing information into a knowledge graph, and it is acting as a research assistant. So nano claw, okay, they have been used by the Singapore foreign minister. They have been using this nano claw, they have been using this AI assistant in the diplomatic meetings. So now the question is that there is going to be a use of AI in diplomacy also. There is this one part, AI in diplomacy. AI in diplomacy. So you can be getting a question of this. You can get a question on this. The use of AI in diplomacy. What are its significance? What are the challenges? So you might be getting a question around this. So can you tell me some points? What do you think? What do you think this use of AI in diplomacy? Is it good or is it challenging? If we are talking about AI in diplomacy, if we are talking about this one topic, AI in diplomacy, is it good for diplomacy or is it going to be a challenge for it? Now think about this, and meanwhile I can give you a context of the history. Okay, you can see that in the case of diplomacy there was use of telegraph once. There was use of telegraph which was related to real time diplomacy. That when telegram started, not telegram, telegraph. Okay, so this is one thing, ki real time diplomacy, the real time diplomacy was enabled by telegraph. Then when radio and mass media started, there was a public scrutiny of the diplomacy. Then we see that internet, this has accelerated the information flow. But all these three things, they have been mostly about communication. This has been largely about communication. Here the human factor was not eliminated, or human factor was not reduced. In all these sections we see that, there has been use of the technology just for enabling communication. But AI, what it does? It is not only communication. Now it supports decision making. It helps in decision making. It helps in shaping policy. It helps in shaping the diplomacy. So what we see that this is not about just the communication. This is something which is supporting the decision making. ये decision making को support करेगा. That is the significant part of this AI in diplomacy. Okay. Then what you will see, like what it can do, it can draft communiques in minutes. Okay, it can draft the messages, it can analyze treaties across decades, it can generate multiple policy options, it can help them in a better informed decision making. Okay, so it can make messages in just a few minutes. It can make messages, it can devise, it can write the messages in just a few minutes. It can analyze the year-old treaties in just a few minutes. It can also give multiple policy options, what policies you can adopt. So AI has emerged as such an important tool. Now earlier what we used to see, that earlier, suppose that there is a powerful nation. Suppose that there is a powerful nation. So they used to have several diplomats. They used to be very aggressive, smart. Okay. So they used to be very aggressive and smart. And the smaller countries, they were lacking on it. Lack of diplomats, numerical strength used to be low. कि अमेरिका आ रहा है अपने 40 डिप्लोमेट को लेकर आ रहा है, सिंगापुर जा रहा है जस्ट विद 2 or 3 diplomats. So now the part is, now the things have changed. Now it is about AI. Now this is about AI. So a small country, but with AI tool, can become equally powerful. A smaller nation with AI tool can become equally powerful, because it will have all the details, it will have all the options, it will have all the information in order to support decision making. So that gap which was existing between the countries, the numerical strength which was missing between the countries, now that is something which can be replaced by the AI. Okay. So what we see, that this is the change we used to see. Okay. But there is a limit of the AI. See, diplomacy requires a brain and a heart. This is a key word. This is a key phrase we can understand, that diplomacy requires a brain and a heart. So you cannot do just the diplomacy just on the basis of facts, information only. Diplomacy is about meeting at the midpoint. It is about the brain and the heart. Okay. So here what we see, that AI, it cannot replace the core human element, because you need empathy, you need trust building, you need persuasion, you need cultural and political judgment. Okay. You need all these factors, you need all these things: empathy, trust building, persuasion, culture, political judgment. All these things are required. So, if these things are not there, then it may be quite much limited. Okay. So, AI is missing the ability to read intention, judge the mood of counterparts, and handle nuanced negotiations. Okay. देखो, I am not clear about it right now, Parth. Maybe in June, maybe not. Okay. So if it is announced, then I will let you know. Okay. If it is announced, I will let you know. Okay. So this limits of AI is also there, that we will see that it is not able to deal with these factors. It is not able to deal with these factors. Now what we see here, AI can like increase the asymmetry between prepared and unprepared states. If someone is using AI, then they will be much more powerful, they will be much more capable. Okay. AI can also expand the foreign policy discourse, it can increase cognitive load on bureaucrats, and there is a requirement for all the countries, you have to adapt at a faster pace. AI is going to be there. The use of AI assistant by Singapore foreign minister is just a beginning. It is just a beginning. Now we will see that multiple countries will be using this AI directly now for foreign policy. There will be diplomats, there will be many people who will be sitting with AI tools for discussion on trade deals, for discussion on agendas at various group meetings. So the adoption of AI, is not just an option now. The adoption of AI in foreign discourse, in national policies, in governance is a mandatory tool now. It is a mandatory part now. AI is mandatory in governance now. You cannot skip it now. Okay. So we are already in that part where we need to work on developing AI tools which can help us in all these sections. Okay. So this is the part about AI. Okay. Now here you have a practice question. AI is not just a tool but a force multiplier that is changing how decisions are made. Comment. Okay. So this is one part which we have to write in the answer. So about the AI, it is a general question. It is still not about just the diplomacy. देखो ये मैंने आपको जनरल क्वेश्चन दिया है, तो राइट आंसर अकॉर्डिंगली इट हैज टू बी वेरी मच ब्रॉड. तो look into this question carefully. Second question is, what is cervical cancer? Explain its causes and impact. What strategies have been adopted so far to control it? In case of health section, you will find that the questions are quite simple. In case of science also, the questions are quite simple. तो वहां पे हम डिस्कस, एलाबरेट, क्रिटिकली कमेंट, ये सभी चीजें आपको नहीं देखने को मिलती. तो दैट्स व्हाई द क्वेश्चन ऑन सर्वाइकल कैंसर इज डायरेक्ट, स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. Because if you look at the previous year question, you will find that the questions on science and tech are coming in this manner. तो इसलिए मैंने आपको ऐसा क्वेश्चन दिया है. Now, coming to the answer writing part. Coming to this part of answer writing. So here we have the introduction of AI in school curriculum is a necessary step. Comment. So how many of you have written answer for it? आप में से कितने लोगों ने इसका आंसर लिखा है? How many of you have written answer for it? First thing. Second thing, how much time? How much time? This is one part. Word limit. Are you adhering to the word limit? How much time you have taken to write this answer? How much word limit is there? बस 2-3 लोग ही लिख रहे हैं क्या? 10 to 12 minutes both for thinking and writing. So only 2 or 3 people are writing answer. AI is very common topic. Okay. Thinking time 5 to 6 minutes, writing time 9 minutes, words 142. Good. Even if it is 162, if you write it again, you can minimize it. If a topic becomes quite common, so writing on it becomes easier. Hai na? So this is the same thing which you have to do with all the topics. That before your examination, you have to work in such a manner that all the topics become very much clear for you. All the topics become very much like common for you. So you can write the answer at any point of time. Now, what we see, the introduction of AI in school curriculum. You can start with the context of it. You can start with the CBSE, what it has done. That CBSE has gone for introduction of AI. You can mention the context of it. That CBSE has gone for introduction of AI from class 3 to 8 itself, or from class 3 itself. That in the first part there is foundational skill part, computational thinking part, and later on advancement in AI. Okay, so you can mention this part key how it has been introduced. Okay, now you have to mention that why this is a necessary step. So you can make a heading, you can make a subheading, AI in education, a necessary step. AI in education is a necessary step. So why it is necessary step? Then you can mention point by point. You can say that it is about the global comparison. You can also give the global comparison. European Union, then we have the US. There you can mention that it is about the global comparison. We have discussed about this in the last session that US is also having it, European Union is also having it. So if other countries are having it, we have to go with the global trend. We have to adopt that global trend. So this is one part. Second, you can mention about the relevance of AI in present world. Okay, relevance of AI in present world. Today also we have seen from diplomacy to like environment to bio to every part, AI is something which has become a common tool. From governance to diplomacy to a common social media or a Google search, it has become very much crucial. Then you can mention about the AI based learning. AI based learning, how it empowering, how this one is empowering the students, how this one is empowering the students, okay, how this is helping them to learn in a better manner, how they can understand the things in a better manner, how it is going to lead to their cognitive development, how it can lead to their cognitive development. We have seen that in the curriculum we have gone for computational thinking, where they have to identify the puzzles, where they have to make a flow chart, and everything. So these portions are there that you have to write step by step. So it's not that we are directly saying them that use AI and write answers for the class test or write answers for the homework. They are being instructed that how the AI works, and if they're following that process, it leads to their cognitive development. Okay, then you can also mention about the skill acquirement. You can also mention about the skill acquirement. Okay. So you can mention some points why it is considered as a necessary step. क्यों यहाँ पे necessary step है? But since the topic is about comment, you can mention a few challenges also. You can mention a few challenges also. If you want, you can make a flow chart of this. आप चाहो तो इसका flow chart बना सकते हो. Like accessibility and affordability. You can mention that is it affordable for everyone? Okay. You can mention about the infra lag. You can mention about the teacher's capacity and so on. So you can mention about the challenges which are there. You can mention that in a flowchart form also. Then in the conclusion, you can mention that AI has emerged as a tool which cannot be skipped, which cannot be ignored. What we need to do, we need to adapt AI. We need to adapt AI in a responsible manner, in an accountable and responsible manner, so that it leads to the cognitive development of the child. It leads to the cognitive development of the students in a monitored manner. ठीक है, कि जहां पे हम मॉनिटरिंग भी कर रहे हैं इसके. We need to adapt AI in a responsible and accountable manner, which can lead to the cognitive development of the students in a monitored environment. Okay, because in AI you need a proper monitoring. You need a proper monitoring. If there is a proper monitoring, only then it can lead to a better result. So we need to adapt to it. We cannot skip it. It's not an option that you are not reading AI. AI have to be read. You have to go through AI. But yes, you have to go through it in such a manner that it is useful for our own cognitive development, for cognitive development of the students. Okay. So you can mention that in the conclusion part. अब बताओ, how many of you are having matching answers? कितने लोगों के आंसर जो है वो ऐसे मैच कर रही है? I have a few questions here. Are you making this subheading? क्या आप यहाँ पे subheading बना रहे हो? Okay. Are you making this subheading part? Are you making use of some flow charts in your answer or not? Subheadings का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं? Second part is, are you using some flow charts in your answer? जैसे आप flow chart इस्तेमाल करोगे, your word limit will be under control. Okay. Your word limit is going to be under control. So Rishabh, tell me one thing. If you use the flow chart formula, so can your word limit come back to 150? %75%. So Arman, have you written answer or not? It's not a problem that subheading should be the same. Subheading same नहीं होना है. ठीक है, subheading same होने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. There is no need to be writing the same language. Content has to be almost similar. Content has to be almost similar. And when we study the content, of course, it is going to be almost similar. Only the thing is the approach of writing answer. The approach, the basic structure that has to be followed. So you have to improve that part. Okay, you have to improve that part. You have to use the flow chart. Okay, so that will be all for today. So we have discussed 3 articles, one related to AI in diplomacy, one which was related to cervical cancer. The percentage increased from 75 to 80. Good. So we have discussed one with respect to RT, one with respect to cervical cancer, and one with respect to the AI in diplomacy. Okay. So thank you everyone. Let's meet tomorrow and then we will discuss the articles for tomorrow. Thank you. Take care and all the best. Thank you.